G'day guys, Charlie here. So I'm gonna try and start these kind of gameplay commentaries as a way to talk about, I guess, like not even just team comp things, but kind of just learning rather than me just rambling sometimes. So I'm gonna try and put it more into, I guess, teaching-based or learning-based discussions, one-way discussions. I guess you reply in the comment section as a form of, two-way discussion. But in these videos, I'm going to try and just talk about just compositions mainly and just understanding those kind of things, because I think that's where a lot of people are struggling on, and they don't understand the power of certain comps and when double healing is a good option, like a Mercy Lucio. And the difference between the styles of healing, that's also something that people don't actually know when to pick which one, and it does matter on who the enemy has as their damage dealers. So let's just talk about the double healing, like a Lucio Mercy comp. And so basically what you're trying to do there is basically out-sustain team fights, just having a lot of heals, keeping everyone really healthy. This can cause your team to pick more damage dealers rather than tanks, if they're good at damage dealers, just because you'll be able to out-sustain the damage, and that's kind of almost like a pseudo tank style, I guess you could say, because you're healing so much that it kind of makes up for having no tank. I mean, ideally that's not a reason to have no tanks on your team. Tanks are very important, and having those heals on those tanks is really, really good. But it kind of does give you a bit of leeway if you are wanting to go for a more aggressive playstyle and a more damage-based team comp. The effectiveness of the double heal, what it does counter is a lot of the slow DPS, as in like damage over time. So things like Soldier and Tracer, their damage output is very slow and very minimal. Even Zyra to some extent, slow damage is really good because you'll have enough time to regen it up. But things like Junkrat and Pharah counter the double heal comp, not completely, but it does help facing a double team comp using Pharah and Junkrat, because the damage is so bursty. It's harder to keep up healing wise with the amount of burst and damage that is coming out. So it's a good way to counter that. So if you are getting fucked by a Soldier, going double heals is always a good idea. If you can't figure out how to beat them combat wise, you can beat them defensive wise with heals, as opposed to trying to outduel them, just try and out sustain them. So yeah, another kind of downside, it's not a complete downside, but these are the kind of things you need to think about when you do have double heals. Reinhardt is, I guess, a less stronger tank within a double heal comp, because of the fact that you're outputting double heals to everyone, and Reinhardt isn't making use of those double heals, whereas a Zyra, she'll be making use of those heals because she's constantly taking flat damage, rather than Reinhardt, where he takes damage on his shield, and both of those healing sources don't actually affect his shield. So in that sense, it's not as beneficial for him. It doesn't really affect him as much, considering that his shield will be soaking up most of his damage, and his health pool generally doesn't really get touched, not as much as his shield anyway. And so these are little things you've got to think about when creating team comps, especially double heal comp, who you're going up against, who is your biggest threat. If they're facing, Soldier, and he's not much of a threat, then double heal comp isn't going to influence his damage output as much, because you're not really sustaining his damage, because he's not being a significant threat. Whereas if there is a Soldier that's being a huge threat, double heals is always really good against him. So that's the plus side of that. Oh, hold on, my headset's just dying out. I just need to do something. And yeah, so I've just written a few notes on the side here, just so I don't miss anything. So sorry about this. Yeah, so what beats double heal comp? So things like like I mentioned, instant damage. Also, Zarya and Genji, they can also be a good counter to double heal comps, because the thing with Genji, he gets in there and just gets kills. He just, one-shots pretty much your healers, and if he can ult and take out a Mercy and a Lucio with his ult, then that's pretty much, team fight won. So he's a pretty good counter there. It's just based on the Genji's ability to, destroy. And same with Zarya, her ult is a good counter to that, because if you can ult the Mercy and the Lucio, if you can pick them out, or even just the Mercy, you've almost guaranteed a win within the team fight, as long as, obviously you deal damage, and if you play safely throughout the rest of the team fight after that initial pick. And basically it's just finding a way to pick out the two healers, and trying to out damage them is not the way to go. Trying to out damage double heal comp, I mean, it can be possible, but it's more based on how shit your enemy is and how good you are at dealing damage, and that's can be quite a risky option. It's much better to try and go for the picks rather than actually just trying to brute force your way in, I guess. So yeah, this is the end of the video. Feedback would be nice. Thanks guys for watching, and I shall catch you later.